everyone. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome you for our social studies lesson today, whereby we are going to look at the second arm of the government, that is the executive. But before I just do that, I would like to take this opportunity to remind you what you are supposed to do in order to assist in curbing the spread of this deadly virus that is corona. But kindly remain at home. But if you are forced by circumstances to leave your home, then always put on your mask, avoid shaking people's hands, maintain social distance, wash your hands regularly using water and soap. If you have sanitizers, the better. Something else is that if you feel like coughing or sneezing, please use your toilet paper and dispose it at the rightful place. If you don't have a toilet paper or you don't have a toilet paper, then you can always fold your arm like this. You can cough or sneeze there. Above all, let us continue praying to God so that He can give us a breakthrough in this. Having said that, now allow me to talk about the topic of the day. I've said we are discussing about the second arm of the government, and that is the executive. Last time we discussed about the legislature, which I said it is parliament. Now allow me to talk about the composition of the executive. The executive is made up of the president, the deputy president, the cabinet secretaries. We have the attorney general, and we also have the principal secretaries, director of public prosecutions. We have also the government civil servants. So that is, those are the people who make up the executive. That is the president, deputy president, cabinet secretary, attorney general, principal secretaries, chief of staff, director of public prosecutions, and government civil servants. Now, allow me to talk about the president, and I would like to discuss about the authorities of the president. One, he is the head of state and government. He is the commander-in-chief of the Kenya Defense Forces. He exercises the executive authority of the republic with the assistance of the deputy president and the cabinet secretaries. I repeat that again, that he exercises the executive authority of the republic with the assistance of the deputy president and the cabinet secretaries. He is also, or he or she is the chairperson of the National Security Council. The president chairs the National Security Council meetings. He is the chairperson of the National Security Council. Now, allow me to talk about the obligations of the president. Now, the president, he respects or respecting, upholding, and safeguarding the Kenya Constitution. So, which means the president is the custodian of the Constitution. He respects, upholds, and safeguards the Kenya Constitution. Promoting and enhance the unity of the nation. It is within the mandate of the president to ensure that people live in unity. Promoting respect for diversity of the people and communities of Kenya. Another thing is that he safeguards the sovereignty. He safeguards the sovereignty of the republic. He also ensures the protection of human rights and fundamental freedoms and the rule of law. Now, when we talk about the rule of law, it means that all people are equal before the law. Now, allow me to talk about the functions of the president. He addresses, addressing the opening of each elected, newly elected parliament, which means after the general elections, the president is the one who addresses the newly elected parliament. Two, he opens the parliamentary session after what you call recess. When talk about recess, recess simply means that break of the parliamentarians members of parliament, after maybe a certain period of time, they break a bit. Just like for us in school, we close school and we go for holidays. So the whole day that is set aside for the parliamentarians, we call it a recess. So after recess, the president opens the parliament sessions. 2, 3, he addresses special sittings of the parliament whenever he is required to do so. You know, we have different committees in parliament, and maybe a certain committee may want to maybe get some clarification from the president about maybe a certain issue. Then the president can do that. Something else is that he addresses the nation of the measures taken and the progress achieved in realization of national values. I want to repeat that the fourth function of the president is that he addresses the nation of the measures taken and the progress achieved in the realization of national values. Now, with the approval of the National Assembly, the president appoints senior government officers, like, for example, the cabinet secretaries, the principal secretaries, we have the ambassadors, the what you call the different heads of different departments. That is. Now, another thing is that the president chairs cabinet meetings. That is to say that the president is the chairperson of the cabinet. He also directs and coordinates the functions of the ministries and government departments. The president also receives diplomatic and consular representation. That is the eighth function of the president, that he receives diplomatic and consular representatives. 9, he confers honor in the name of the people and the republic. He confers honor in the name of people and the republic. Another function of the president, that is the 10th function, is that he declares a state of emergency. He declares a state of emergency. But this one also has to be approved by the National Assembly. 11, with the approval of the Parliament, the National Assembly, that is, he can declare war. No, president is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, as I said, and he can declare whenever there is an issue, maybe that a certain country is provoking us, then the president can also declare war. But I've said that with the approval of the National Assembly. The 12th function of the president is that he ensures that international obligations of the republic are fulfilled. Like, for example, if there are some resolutions from some international organization or bodies, like, for example, the UN, and they have resoluted on member countries, maybe carrying out a certain maybe mandate. So it is upon the president to ensure that such resolutions are fulfilled in our republic. Another function of the president, the 13th function, is that he pardons the convicted criminals through a certain power, what you call the prerogative of mercy. Now, time and again, the president can forgive, can pardon some criminals, and this power that is placed upon the president is known as the prerogative of mercy. Another function of the president is that he appoints the Chief Justice, the Deputy Chief Justice, and judges of the High Court, Court of Appeal, and the Superior Court, in accordance to the recommendation of the Judicial Service Commission, but again subject to approval by the National Assembly. So those are the functions of the President of the Republic of Kenya. Allow me to talk about the Deputy President. Now, these are the functions of the Deputy President. He is the principal assistant of the President. He performs the functions conferred by the Constitution. He performs duties of the president, as the president may assign, and the president can assign the deputy president to carry out some responsibilities. So the president can also do, the deputy president can also do that. Another function is that he acts as the president in the absence of the president, or if the president is incapacitated. So those are the functions of the deputy president. Let us now look at another department or another section of the executive, and that is the cabinet. Now, the composition of the cabinet. The cabinet is comprised of, or it consists of the president, the deputy president, 14 to 22 cabinet secretaries. Now, my dear pupils, I want you to understand that according to the constitution, to the new constitution of Kenya, the cabinet secretaries are not supposed to be less than 14 and are not supposed to surpass the number 22. They're not supposed to be more than 22. They're not supposed to be less than 14. Another maybe person who is inclusive or included in the cabinet, we have the Attorney General, the Chief of Staff. So that is the combination of the cabinet. I've said the President, the Deputy President, 14 to 22 cabinet secretaries, the Attorney General, and we have the Chief of Staff. Now, the President nominates, with approval of the National Assembly, the cabinet secretaries. That the President is the one who appoints the cabinet secretaries, but with the approval of the National Assembly. Now, the President is the chairperson of the cabinet. That is to say that the President chairs the cabinet meetings. The Attorney General advises the cabinet on legal matters. In fact, we say the chief legal advisor of the government is the Attorney General. We have also the Chief of Staff is the Secretary of the Cabinet. The Secretary of the Cabinet, that is the Chief of Staff. What does he do? He writes minutes during the cabinet meetings. Now, allow me to talk about the functions of the cabinet. One, advise the president. The cabinet do advise the president. It formulates government policies, and in fact, this is the main function of the cabinet. The main function of the cabinet is to formulate government policies. The cabinet also answers questions to their department in parliament. Whenever they are called to highlight on some issues pertaining their department, then the cabinet can do that. They also represent their departments in the cabinet. The cabinet represents their departments during the cabinet meetings. Allow me to talk about the functions of the cabinet secretaries. Functions of the cabinet secretaries. One, accounts individually and collectively to the president about the ministries they represent or the departments they head. They also provide Parliament with full and regular reports concerning matters under their control. The cabinet also, the cabinet secretaries also, they attend before a committee of National Assembly or Senate when required by the committee and answer questions concerning matters which they are responsible. I will repeat that the cabinet secretaries, they attend before a committee of the National Assembly or the Senate when required by the committee and answer questions concerning matter of which they are responsible. Allow me to talk about the principal secretaries. Now, the principal secretaries, these are the senior civil servants in a state department. So if you ask about who is the senior most civil servant in a state department, then that is the principal secretaries. The president nominates the principal secretaries according to the recommendation by the Public Service Commission, but again with the approval of the National Assembly. Allow me to talk about the functions of the principal secretaries. One is the most senior civil servant. Two, permanent head of the State Department. If you ask about the permanent head of a State Department, then that is the principal secretary. And you know, we say that, we say that they are permanent. Why? Because for them, they are not affected by the political period of time. Let's say maybe after a period of 5 years, they can be maybe removed. So that one does not affect them, because for them, they are permanent. And does not mean that they don't retire. When it reaches their time and age, then they can retire. But for them, they are not affected by the political period set. Like, for example, I've given 5 years, that every 5 years we conduct general elections. So after general election, for them, they still remain in their departments. 3, head of administration in a state department. These are administrators in their respective state departments. The chief, they are also the secretary, the principal secretary is the chief accountant in a state department. He's the chief accountant. That is to say that whenever we have any issues concerning accounts or money in a certain state department, so the person who is directly responsible is the principal secretary. Another function of the principal secretary is that he answers, or he or she answers questions in the National Assembly in the absence of the cabinet secretary. So those are the functions of the principal secretaries. Now allow me to talk about the Attorney General. The Attorney General is appointed by the President, but also subject to approval by the National Assembly. Allow me to talk about the functions of the Attorney General. One is the principal legal advisor of the government. He is the chief legal advisor of the government. He is the government lawyer. So if you ask about who is the government lawyer, that is in Kenya, according to the Constitution of Kenya, then that is the Attorney General. He represents the national government in court, or in any other legal proceedings to which the national government is party. Another function of the Attorney General is that he performs functions conferred on the office by the Act of the Parliament. Another function is that he promotes, protects, and upholds the rule of law. And I told you the rule of law simply means all people are equal before the law. The office of the Attorney General defends the public interest. They defend the public interest. If there's something that pertains the public interest, then the person who is in charge is the Attorney General. Allow me now to talk about the Director of Public Prosecution, in short, popularly known as DPP, the Director of Public Prosecution. He is also appointed by the President, but with the approval of the National Assembly. He holds the office for a term of 8 years. The functions of the DPP, that is the Director of Public Prosecution. One, he directs the Inspector General of National Police Service to investigate any information or allegation of criminal conduct. I repeat again, that he directs the Inspector General of the National Police Service to investigate any information or allegation of criminal conduct. Two, he institutes and undertakes criminal proceedings against any person before any court. So those are the main two functions of the DPP, or rather the Director of Public Prosecution. Allow me to talk about the public servants. When talk about public servants, these are government employees. They carry out their duties under the Public Service Commission, the PSC. Now, I'd like to say something about the PSC, or the Public Service Commission. This is the body or the commission that is in charge of appointing public servants, senior public servants, like, for example, the ACC, that is Assistant County Commissioner. We have also the BCC, Deputy County Commissioner, and so forth. So it is the responsibility. Even the chief is appointed by the Public Service Commission. That's why I've said that they carry out their duties under the Public Service Commission. That is the public servants. The Public Service Commission consists of the chairperson, the vice chairperson, and other 7 members appointed by the president, but with the approval of the National Assembly. Allow me now to talk about the functions of the public servant. The functions of the public servants. 1, implement government policies. 2, interpret the government policies to the citizens. Look at during public holidays, the county commissioner, the county commissioners, these ones they represent the national government at the county level. And I also want to say something, my dear pupils, about that. That the county commissioner is the one who represents the national government at the county level, and is the one who is in charge of security in our county. So if you asked about whoever is in charge of security in our county, then you can talk about the county commissioner. The deputy county commissioner, he reads the speech of the president, or he or she reads the speech of the president on behalf of the president. If there is anything that has been resoluted right away from the cabinet, then it will trickle down to the citizens through the civil servants. And in case there is anything, any policy that has been brought about from the cabinet, then the people to interpret this to the public are the civil servants. Now, the civil servants also keep and maintain government records. And lastly, they advise the cabinet secretaries on matters affecting the state department or their state departments. My dear pupils, now allow me to talk about the executive, the functions of the executive. We have looked at different compositions of the executive, and we have interpreted all the functions of different people who make up the executive. Now, allow me to talk about now the functions of the executive. 1, it implements the government policies, implementing government policies, and this is the main function of the executive. That the executive implements the government policies decided upon by the cabinet. They also interpret the laws made in the parliament. They also not interpret, but they implement. They implement the laws made in parliament. 3, they maintain records and accounts of the government. 4, it draws up development plans and budget. 5, the revenue department of the executive ensures that government revenue is effectively collected and accounted for. I'd like to repeat that again, that the revenue department of the executive ensures that government revenue is effectively collected and accounted for. 6 is that it ensures that the government runs smoothly and efficiently. The executive ensures that the government runs smoothly and efficiently. The executive also acts as the link between the citizens and the government. Lastly, it interprets government policies to the members of the public. My dear pupils, we have reached at the end of our lesson today, whereby we have discussed about the executive arm of the government, we have looked at the composition of the executive, and we have looked at the functions of each composition, and at the end of it, in general, we have learned about the functions of the executive. This is a very important subtopic that you really need to master. I would like to urge that you can replay this video as many times as you can, so that you can get acquainted with facts about the executive. Otherwise, I want to wish you well. Continue working hard. Bye-bye.